Hi folks, let's have a look and see what was new on Netflix from the 26th of October to the 1st of November. There are two new compilations of short films, one about waterfalls and the other taking place underwater. They're 25 minutes apiece and might make you need to go to the toilet. Aardman classic Chicken Run is back on Netflix after a brief hiatus. This one features Mel Gibson and Miranda Richardson, and your kids will dig it. Season 1 and Season 2 of tough British drama Top Boy are back on Netflix. This is a gritty drama series about London drug dealers and their trade at a public housing estate in North London. The Duchess is a period drama about a scandalous affair that Duchess Georgina Spencer had with the politician Charles Grey, starring Ray Fiennes, Keira Knightley and Dominic Cooper. The Thread is a crime documentary about the misguided internet sleuthing that went on behind the Boston Marathon bombing, leaving a number of innocent men accused of the terror act. Whilst no connection to The Thread, 2 seasons of TV drama Velvet have appeared, set in 1950s Spain, about a fashion house guru who romances a seamstress, much to the objection of the company they work for. Did you like my pun at the start of this? The thread thing? It seemed quite fitting. Awake is the biopic of Paramahansa Yogananda, who had a key role in bringing yoga and meditation to the modern Western world, and from the poster looks a bit jaundice. Doomsdays is a drama about some squatters that live in off-season vacation homes in the Catskills and how their lifestyle is thrown up in the air when a runaway team and a young woman join them. Highly enjoyable war drama Enemy at the Gates features Joseph Fiennes and Jude Law as snipers playing a game of cat and mouse during the aftermath of Stalingrad. This is a gut-wrenching movie that really captures the Battle of Stalingrad and continues with some hard-hitting themes of courage and determination. There's 2 seasons of the new sitcom Laid, about a woman who finds out 2 of her former lovers are dying in unusual ways, and her quest to try and save her remaining exes. That sounds hilarious? Last Days of Vietnam is a documentary that manages to not only voice the feelings of the Americans, but it also captures the perspective of the North Vietnamese during the evacuation of Saigon, featuring rare interviews with Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon. There's a documentary called Loda the Untold Story about Niki Loda, the Austrian Formula 1 driver who was involved in a very serious crash in 1976 and chronicles his amazing survival and comeback. Little Lunch is a kids' TV show that covers a lunch break from a child's perspective. 7 Deadly Sins is an anime TV show about a kingdom that's taken over by a bunch of tyrants and a princess who quests to find a group of evil knights who might help them take back their realm. Slingshot is a documentary about quirky genius Dean Kamen as he introduces his invention that could potentially solve the world water problems. British documentary about Stuart Lee, the 41st best stand-up ever, arrives that takes a look behind the scenes at Lee's feelings towards fame, reality TV and his gigs. Twinsters is a documentary that tells the true story of a French fashion student who discovered via the internet she has an identical twin she never knew existed. Sounds quite emotional, however part of me really hopes that the second half of the film is the merry mishaps and practical jokes these two pull on their friends and family. Unknown Caller is an independent thriller about a fracking lobbyist who suffers a cyber attack by a mysterious caller who uses a security system to lock him in his own house with a bomb. Reviews aren't great, never heard of it before, so I'll let you watch it and you can tell me if it's any good. Exit Through the Gift Shop is a biographical documentary about the underworld of street art that takes a fascinating turn when it moves to stencil artist Banksy. 2 entries into the Air Bud franchise, which sits at a massive 14 entries. There's Air Bud Golden Retriever, this is the 2nd movie from 1998, and Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch from 2002, the 4th movie. Netflix cartoon series Popples arrives, about some adorable Popple Pal creatures that get up to hilarious hijinks. Disney's 1962 version, The Prince and the Pauper, arrives, contributing to the large Disney collection of movies on Netflix. There's also All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, a musical sequel to the hit original featuring Ernest Borgnine, Charlie Sheen, Dom DeLuise and Wallace Shaw. Film adaptation of the classic book of Mice and Men arrives, about 2 migrant workers, one a gentle simpleton and the other his protector, to find jobs in the Depression-era California, only to have their hopes destroyed. The first remake of the 1976 classic horror movie CARRIE is available. This is the 2002 TV movie, not the 2013 remake. This version does have its fans. However, it is somewhat underseen. I'll be checking it out because I haven't seen it yet. The Cutting Edge was a somewhat forgettable romantic movie from 1992 featuring D.B. Sweeney. It seems to have generated a bit of a franchise. This is the first of 4 sequels that started in 2006 and went direct to video. The House at the End of the Street is a 2012 horror film featuring Jennifer Lawrence and Elizabeth Shue about a mother who moves to a small town with her teenager only to find an accident happened in the house at the end of the street. Actually served to be a slightly better modern day horror film and is worth checking out. The Spy Next Door looks like one of those Jackie Chan family comedies that most people tend to avoid. I haven't seen it and I don't fancy changing that in the near future. Bat 21 is an action-adventure set in Vietnam about a colonel who has no combat experience being trapped behind enemy lines. It stars Danny Glover, Gene Hackman, Jerry Reed. I've always wanted to see it, and hopefully by the end of the day I will have seen it. Capitalism, A Love Story is another documentary from Michael Moore, this time taking on capitalism's roots, the founding US economy, and the 2008 global financial meltdown. Barfly is such an odd piece, starring Mickey Rourke and Faye Dunaway, written by Charles Bukowski, produced by Golan and Globus, and generally hailed as one of the best films of the Cannon catalogue, yet seen by no one. Born Losers is the first film in the Billy Jack series, starring Tom Laughlin. This one sees the Vietnam vet rescuing a young woman from a motorcycle gang and finds himself caught up in a vigilante war between the criminals and the cops. Sounds fantastic, and the series has such a legacy. However, Born Losers does actually manage to appear on one of the top 50 worst films ever made list. Gang Related is a cop crime movie from 1997 starring James Belushi, James Earl Jones and Tupac about 2 cops who accidentally kill an undercover DEA agent and try to cover it up by framing a homeless man. Intersection is a romantic thriller with Richard Gere about an architect who suffers amnesia after a car wreck and sees his life through flashbacks, realizing that he's been having affairs with Lolita Davidovich and Sharon Stone. It's a tough life for some people. Man of La Manche is a musical version of the classic tale Don Quixote, starring Peter O'Toole, Ian Richardson, Brian Blessed, and Sophia Loren. 112 Weddings is an interesting documentary about a wedding videographer who checks in on the most memorable of the 112 couples to see how they're doing now. Manson Family Vacation is a dark comedy about an LA attorney whose life is disrupted by the sudden arrival of his brother who's obsessed with the Charlie Manson murder. Bunks is a kids comedy about 2 troubled brothers posing as counselors on an island summer camp who accidentally trigger a curse that brings a campfire zombie story to life. The 1973 Tom Sawyer is a better telling of the classic literature in which orphan Tom Sawyer and his pal Huck Finn get into all kinds of mischief around town but face a life and death situation after witnessing a murder. And my pick of the week has to be The Party. This Peter Sellers classic comedy from 1968 sees the actor playing a bumbling actor from India who was mistakenly invited to the studio head's Hollywood party. It's amazing to see how this kind of thing was acceptable back then, but it makes it even funnier now. It's a great comedy and an interesting glimpse into times that were. Well, thanks for watching, and remember to check out what's new on Amazon.